thoughts on Alberta separation?
No, I'm not for that whatsoever. We need to stay united. We're so much stronger when we're all sticking together. So hopefully that's never going to happen.
Premier Doug Ford, you've got a lot to say about what's happening in Alberta right now, but here's a question for you. Why are you so busy criticizing Premier Danielle Smith when your own province is about to pass legislation that even the Ontario Green Party says mirrors communist China? And that's not my comparison. That's coming right out of Queen's Park. And before we dive into that, this isn't just about politics anymore. It's about standing up for Alberta. It's about defending Premier Smith and calling out the double standard loud and clear. Let's rewind the clock, Premier Ford, to the 2025 federal election. Did you support Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Federal Conservative Party? Yeah, let me remind you, you didn't. And in fact, instead of endorsing the Conservative frontrunner, you threw cold water on the campaign, even mocking it publicly. We've got the clip to remind you. Let's show it to you.
You know, something as for Corey, I've said right from day one, he's tough as nails, but he's the best campaign manager in the country. And to be very frank, if Corey was running that campaign, I don't think Mr. Poilievre would be in the position he's in right now. But there's still a lot of time left. We still have debates. At the end of the day, the people will decide which way they want this country to move forward. But sometimes the truth hurts.
So he's critical of the federal Conservatives, and now he's taking shots at Premier Smith. Doug, what exactly is your endgame? We've got Premier Smith's reaction to Doug Ford's comments calm, steady, and as always, she's focused.
I don't tell him how he should run his province, and I would hope that he doesn't tell me how I should run mine. But we have a very respectful relationship, and I hope that continues.
Premier Smith doesn't take the bait. She doesn't escalate. But here's what we'll say at Unfiltered. Premier Smith is trying to solve Alberta's growing tension with Ottawa, while Doug Ford, well, he's poking his nose in where it doesn't belong nor is wanted. But here at Unfiltered, we may now know why he's shifting the focus. You see, on April 17th, Doug Ford's government introduced Bill 5, Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act. You can see the full bill in the description of this video. Now, in title, it sounds great, until you read the fine print. Here's what Bill 5 could do if passed. Create special economic zones where developers are exempt from provincial and municipal laws. Replace species at risk permits with registration first approvals, meaning developers can start building pretty much immediately. Allow land development with no requirement for Indigenous consultation or archaeological protection. And it goes on. It could strip procurement rules around country of origin protection, weaken protections for endangered species, including, yes, bulldozing turtle nests as exposed by the David Suzuki Foundation.
Doug Ford is trying to pull a fast one. Right before the last long weekend, Ford quietly dropped Bill 5, which, if you didn't catch it last time, is a straight-up assault on Ontario's land and wildlife and your rights. It would scrap the Endangered Species Act and replace it with a weak knockoff. No recovery plans, barely any habitat protection, no science.
There's no recourse, no oversight, just a green light to destroy habitats. And Doug, while you're worried about Albertans standing up against federal overreach, you're literally passing legislation that guts local law. Even the Ontario Green Party said this legislation had shades of communist China. Centralized control, top-down decision-making, and corporate fast-tracking at the expense of community voices. Reaction in Queen's Park? It was a bit explosive.
We don't need to have special economic zones that sound a lot more like communist China than democratic Ontario.
Opposition parties have slammed Bill 5 for being anti-democratic, anti-environment, and anti-Indigenous. Civil liberty groups like the CCLA say it removes democratic checks. The Association of Iroquois and Allied Indians have condemned it for violating the duty of consult. But instead of cleaning up this mess, Premier Ford, you're distracted by headlines out west. So here's the ultimate question, Doug, from all of us at Unfiltered. Are you scared of losing Alberta's equalization payments? Is that it? Because if Alberta were to separate, and it's a conversation gaining steam, that's over $420 million Ontario got last year, gone. Meanwhile, Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia got zero. Maybe that's why you're so interested in Alberta Premier Ford, because you know this federation only works when Alberta stays quiet and pays up. Well, you know what? We're not staying quiet anymore, Premier Ford. There's a verse that comes to mind that I would like to share with you, if that's okay. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but ignore the plank in your own, Premier Ford? Alberta, we're pushing back because of the federal overreach. You're passing Bill 5, a bill that your own citizens are calling dangerous, dictatorial, and devastating to Indigenous and environmental rights. Premier Ford, Unfiltered has one message for you. Fix Ontario first. Look, this isn't about party politics anymore. It's about fairness and Alberta's sovereignty. It's about defending Premier Smith from hypocrisy and legacy media smears. So if you're watching from the West, or frankly anywhere across Canada, and you're tired of being told to sit down and pay up, then now's the time to speak. And Premier Ford, worry about the bulldozers in your own backyard before throwing stones at our Rocky Mountains. And to everyone watching, let me take a second to say thank you. This just isn't a news story anymore. This is getting real, and our voices are proving it. We're pushing hard towards our next milestone here at Unfiltered. 1,500 subscribers, and every like, comment, and share helps amplify our message louder than ever. Some of your comments from this week truly hit home. Let's share some of those now. Gerald says it plain and simple. The West wants to leave yesterday, and we will. That's not frustration, Gerald. That's clarity. Janice, she showed her concern. The speaker's comments frightened the heck out of me. Yikes. Janice, you're right. In this movement, there needs to be accountability and structure. Murray, 70 years in Alberta, dropped a truth bomb. Time for a change for the future of Alberta. Enough is enough. That's legacy speaking right there. And then there's this one from Rum Runner Cowboy in Terrace, BC. They really put it into perspective. We're at the Northern having breakfast, and the table beside us is talking about Danielle Smith and Alberta's succession. Look, if folks are talking about this in a BC diner, about Alberta's future, you know this conversation is growing. This discussion, it's everywhere now, in restaurants, truck cabs, job sites, and coffee shops. So comment below if you're standing up for Alberta. Like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's ready to speak up. We're just getting started here at Unfiltered, and we're not backing down.